GDSC OUI. So we're trying to organize something for those that are in Flutter already and those that are planning to get into Flutter or tech as a whole. So we have a speaker. We have speakers here, right? Mr. Ayodeji Michael and someone else. Person is she's a surprise, so she'll be joining us very soon. And my co-host here is Mr. Farouk Oyewole, and the GDSC lead of OUI is also here with us. His name is Samuel Youpele. He's also a Flutter developer. Okay, so fair for Mr. Michael will be the one will be the one talking to us first. I actually want to hear from him because I have a lot of things to tell him. I'm his number one fan on LinkedIn. Okay, so before Mr. Michael come on board, I'll just give a brief introduction of who Mr. Michael is. He's a mobile engineer and accomplished Flutter SDK specialist. He has success in mobile realms and proven track record in delivering Flutter project, that is mobile project solutions. He has worked with fintech companies and also crypto companies, and he has over 3 years of experience. Wow, that is massive. Okay, he beyond coding, he loved dancing and art. Mr. Michael, please, you are going to tell us this song that you like most. So maybe during the meeting we can play it for you. And please, while Mr. Michael is talking, please, if you have any question, feel free to drop it on the comment section. We'll be asking you, or you can just raise your hand when it's done, so we will answer your question. Um, okay. So he also has a group that have over 150 mobile engineers. If during his conversation, during his speech, maybe he will just tell us more about it, and yeah, we need to plan. And I think that is basically the brief thing we can currently know about him now. So when he's talking, we know more about him later. Mr. Michael, please, you have the stage or you have the mic.
Um, okay, yes. Good evening, everybody. In case you are not able to clap, I think we have a clap emoji, so you can as well use that. So I will know that truly you appreciate, the meeting tonight. So, to also give us a sense of connection, I'm just gonna be going ahead to turn on my camera. So in case you want to see what the Son of God looks like, this is what I look like. So, again, good evening, everybody. My name is Ayodeji Ogundairo. I'm a mobile engineer, and tonight we're just going to be discussing. Basically, we're not going to be doing all of that formal stuff. And by the way, I also need to correct something that I have over 3 years of experience, not two, writing Flutter. So yes, now back to our discussion. So again, like you guys know that I have another speaker here who also happens to be most senior engineer that's also going to be talking tonight. So I'm just going to be giving us like a brief of what you should be looking out for. Of course, the topic is the journey to mobile app excellence, right? And there are quite a number of things that you need to do as a mobile engineer, not even as a Flutter developer only, as a mobile engineer in general, to ensure that you are, consistently and constantly delivering good software products, and then ensuring that success comes after your software product. So, and before we delve into all of that, the first thing we're just going to be talking about is why mobile development actually, and the key reason for mobile development is just because of how it's actually um, impacts our lives positively daily. So there was a time in this life that when you needed to, excuse me, when you needed to visit a website, you needed to get access to a product, you always had to go to a website, a web browser first, and then start typing the URLs and all of that. And the whole process was, just too stressful. I mean, imagine me trying to do something as fast as I can, and then I have to keep typing, URLs and all of that. So the advent of mobile app actually made this whole process seamless and easy for us. And this is just what is actually doing for us. And also, um, mobile development also like has really increased interaction amongst humans. There was a time that before, if you guys remember, when our parents would tell us stories of how they met, one person always had to travel from one city to another. Now you don't even have to stress yourself. There's a friend you're talking to via TikTok. There's a friend you're talking to on Instagram. There's somebody you're watching their video somewhere and all of that. So it just sort of created a bond, which is just to again let you know that you did not make a mistake learning how to actually build mobile apps. Because truth is, mobile apps are here to stay, and till God says no, we are covered, right? So, and yeah, there are quite a number of things too. It also fosters productivity. Before, you always have to be in the office, but now that people work remotely, you can always open your Slack on your phone, and then your manager is calling you. You are telling your manager you are in the workspace, but whereas you are standing in front of one aboki trying to buy suya. But well, who cares? Just to ensure that you are delivering on your work, and also it also helps your work and productivity, such that even your health. Now we have phones actually taking track of your calories, the number of steps that you have taken in a day, and all of these things are just really really amazing. So now, you as a Flutter developer, how then are you expected to contribute into all of these, processes? And that is where your own role comes in actually building a Flutter app, right? So first thing first thing you need to also always take note of is when you are building with Flutter, there are quite a number of things that need to put in place, things you need to always take note of, things you need to always keep at the back of your mind to ensure that you are delivering, the best stuff. Number one is the consistent and beautiful UIs across platforms. It is really, really important that you ensure that while you are building, given that Flutter is a cross-platform tool, you can build for Android, build for iOS, build for desktop, web, and all of that. If you are building for if you are targeting multiple platforms, you need to always ensure that you have consistent and beautiful UI, across platforms. Ensure that you are properly managing your user interface layout. Ensure that you focus on actually ensuring that every UI that you build feels like it is alive, not that you are just building things there. Because truth is, whatever it is that you build also will determine how you are able to retain users on your app. So that is firstly. Now, you should also one thing Flutter also gives you actually is the growing community support and resources. So the truth is, now that Flutter is widely accepted compared to when it first got released, you have quite a number of people that are always willing to help when you need to, when you need help or something, or when you need someone to always work with and all of that. So the fact that there's a growing community, it's helps us really 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 actually um aim for the top, basically. So now we're going to be talking about a few best practices in Flutter. And the first thing which I'm going to be talking about is your code organization and structure. So firstly, you should always ensure that there is business logic, right? And then there's your user interface. You should ensure that you use the best architecture possible. Forget all of the you know big English of clean architecture, MVVM, MVC, and all of those confusing stuff. It's just big English. What you are expected to do with this architecture patterns is just to ensure that you have separation of concerns in your app. Your UI is not in the same place with your business logic. Your business logic is not in the same place with your network request. Your network request is not in the same place with your models and all of those things. To just ensure that everything is properly separated. That is number one. Now, number two, one thing you should also focus on is your state management techniques. I know quite a number of us, might be confused when we started, including me. When I started, I was confused too, because when you want to learn, you hear learn provider. No, don't learn provider. Your app will spoil, blah blah, and all of that. But the truth is, you need to have an idea of what you are trying to do. State management is just basically reactive reactive management, how your app is reactive, how you intend to manage the reactiveness of your app. Yes, that is the word. How you intend to manage the reactiveness of your app. A user is seeing A at this point, you want them to see B at this point. How do you intend to manage it such that, number one, it does not affect the performance of your app? Number two, it does not affect the user experience of your app. So your state management techniques, and we have quite a number of state management tools that are really popular, including Block, Riverpod, GetText, Provider, to just mention a few. But the truth is, making use of any of these state management tools actually solely depends on you. It depends on what you are trying to achieve. It depends on how big your app is, the kind of features that you are looking to implement. So again, like they will always say, there's no best state management approach. The best approach to state management is your own approach, how you actually approach the state management tool that you are using. So that is number two. Now, number three, the third thing I'm going to be talking about now is testing strategies. Of course, who wants to deploy an app that they did not test? Either you test it manually or automatically. You always need to ensure that it's well tested.
Let me pass you.
Is someone saying something? Okay. Yes, we are good. So you always need to ensure that yes, your app is well and properly tested. So, and there are quite a number of ways that you can, test your app. The first one is unit tests. Of course, I'm sure quite a number of us, if you are not a beginner, you would have been hearing the word unit test, unit test, unit test. And the purpose of unit test is just to, focus on individual units of code, such as functions or methods, and then ensure that you test them in isolation to be sure that where you are expecting 2 times 5, it is not returning 2 minus 5, just to be sure. The truth is, a code cannot be perfect, right? Even humans are not perfect. Now, imagine you, a human that is not perfect, you are expected to build a code that is perfect. Will it work? It can't work, basically. So that is why you should always ensure that you have unit tests covering your code. And some of the tools that you can use, we have the Flutter test package, which is actually part of the Flutter SDK itself. And if you are using a state management tool like Block, for example, there's a Block test package where you can make use of to always test your Block code. Oh well, you guys will need to give me a minute. I need to get something spun up. Nigeria just happened, like it always does. And yes, Nigeria has happened, by the way. So, but thank God, there's always a backup, right? Miracle, no, they die, my Jesus. So, yes, I was talking about testing tools, and then you can always make use of the Flutter test package from the Flutter SDK itself. That's number one. Then number two, there's widget testing. The purpose of widget testing is to ensure that okay, now you have built your app, right? You have tested each unit of code, each unit of work. You have tested that your methods and your functions are working well. How then do you ensure that you are not having a text that is upside down? How do you ensure that where you are expecting to see a text, a circular progress indicator is not showing up there? How do you ensure that, okay, there's supposed to be an animation here? Is it properly showing? That is exactly what widget test does. And the good thing about widget test is that you don't need to run it on an emulator or a simulator to be able to actually test. You can always write widget test to just ensure that every UI component in your app works exactly as it's supposed to work. That's number two. Now, number three is integration test, right? Again, integration test is like it just verifies that different part of your app, right, work together correctly. They can be used to test interactions between your widgets, your screens, or even the entire app, basically. So to just ensure that okay, when you are response and then this method is called, and then when you maybe swipe to the bottom, it fetches more data for you. When you navigate to this screen, you are expecting to see this screen and all of that. So all of these testing strategies just ensures that you are delivering the best product possible. So that is it. And then there's one that is called the golden test, but it is not so popular, and most of the time there's not always need for it when you have written your widget test and then your unit test. So golden tests are just a type of widget test that captures a rendered output of a widget and then compares it to a previously stored golden image. So it's more like capturing an image of a widget and then testing your widget against that image that you have captured before, actually. But this is high level, so most of the time you might not need to do this actually. So, and then one of the things that you also need while testing your widget is mocking. You always have to mock data. I mean, imagine you are using different libraries, right? Maybe you are using a library like DO for your network request or HTTP. You did not write that package, so it means you don't have total control over it. And then imagine you are trying to test your service class where you made use of DO to actually make your network request. You need to provide mock data to your service class to ensure that your tests are not failing. And the good thing about these packages is that at least a large number of them, units and unit tests have been written for them, for the ones that don't have widgets, right? So you don't always have to worry yourself about writing tests for another person anymore. So you just provide mock values to this packages, right? Instead of using the packages, you provide mock values and then ensure that everything just works the way you want it to work. So that's it for now. And one thing I would also like to talk about, right, is just also in terms of best practices, you should always ensure too that you cut down on the number of packages that you use. The truth is, quite a number of times, for example, for little animations, slide transitions, scale transitions, and all of these things, there are things that we actually can implement inside our app ourselves. But because of the fact that sometimes we can be lazy, everybody can be lazy at any point. That is just the truth. But you should always ensure that things that you can implement by yourself, things that you can write with your own hand, there is no need always going to be to pub.dev to always look for a package. I mean, imagine trying to show a dialogue in your app and then you are using a package from pub. Are you not supposed to receive knock? Because you obviously can write a dialogue by yourself, but because you just like headache, you choose to go to pub.dev to pick up a package. So we should always ensure that we cut down on the use of packages. And lastly, what I'm going to be talking about now regarding this is that while building app, again, remember that you are building this app towards excellence, and excellence is measured through, number one, your user experience, number two, your user retention. So build the app like, okay, I am a user. If I was using this app, what kind of experience do I want to get from this app? That is the way we should ensure that we focus on actually building our apps. So I think for now, that is going to be all for me. So if we have any questions, I'll be glad to take the questions. And yes, I think we can pass on the betting to my senior co-speaker. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much, Michael. That was a very, very wonderful talk on Flutter, especially when building apps, dealing with things like that. To be honest, it's not easy. And I see that I see the hard work people think, especially during I don't know if you know this event, this Flutter Byte event that I went for, and I saw the way you were talking about this pattern matching, and I was like, wow, you guys actually understand what I think. So you really inspire me. Thank you very much for that. Okay. So if you have any questions, I think a lot of people have a lot of questions from there. So if you have any
Okay.
questions,
I'm glad to take questions.
yeah. So if you have any questions, please just signify so that you can ask.
Please just shoot the
Yeah,
question.
and Mr. Mike actually said 3 years, not 2 years. Maybe you did not
Yeah.
know.
I probably because I've used AirPods too much.
Ah.
Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
Um, all right. So, my name is Toby. I joined quite late into the meeting, and I want to ask. You mentioned something about file architecture and the MVVC, different file architecture, file structure we can use for Flutter. But I've worked with some developers, and looking at the architecture, it was just like raw code. How what process do you think one can use to quickly convert that into that kind of architecture. So I understand that your network requests and your UI, everything has to be on different different files and just have to code them at different times. So how can you like easily push, right? Like I'm just saying, like you have a code already, and it's like raw coded. It's just hard coded. So how can you move easily from that to the new file architecture?
Okay, so one thing I always do while working is that, again, like I said, you need to understand the difference between your UI, right? Your um your business logic, your network requests, and every other thing. So what architecture aims to actually solve, number one, is separation of concerns. Number two, to ensure that a unit of work can actually be removed from a code without it breaking every other thing. Right. So imagine I have five features in my app. Now I have transfers, I have video call, I have let's say I have just five different features in my app. How can I ensure that if I remove transfers from my app, it does not affect video call, it does not affect all other app features that are in my app? So for that kind of app where everything is tightly coupled, you need to firstly think of it in a way that, okay, if I am to rewrite this code, right, you need to first of all separate each of the features. So that is how I visualize an app. For example, when I get a project or where I'm working at the moment, when we want to build a new product, I try as much as possible to visualize everything that is on the project as a feature. And then I now separate each of these things on I have like a separate um I have like a separate module for handling each of these things, such that when they are separately standing, none affects the other. So when you are trying to rewrite that kind of code that is tightly coupled, number one, you need to think of each unit of work as a feature on its own. That's number one. Number two, you need to ensure that when you are rebuilding in such a way that your app is loosely coupled, such that A does not totally depend on B. And then when you remove B, A now breaks, C breaks, D breaks, and all of that. That's the one thing you need to ensure that. And the truth is, we don't have the best architecture in terms of, all of the names, the MVVM, MVP, MVVC, and all. They are just big, big English, right? You should focus on is that, okay, if I am using my own architecture, imagine that I created an architecture. How can I ensure that when someone else gets on this code, they will not start cursing me? How can I have to start writing comments in my code and be saying, "To this algorithm that is here, if you touch it, everything will break"? That is also one thing you should think about. You should think about, okay, what if in the nearest future we want to remove this particular feature and replace it with something else? How can we do that? You should think about, okay, today we are making, the Met is making use of HTTP for network requests. How can I ensure that when I write this code, I can safely remove HTTP and replace it with you and my app does not break? So your thoughts should be towards building each module of work as a separate feature on its own, and then ensuring that your app is so loosely coupled that when you remove a feature, it does not break the other things. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, you've been able to answer. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Also, like somebody asked in the income message, they were like, how to get jobs or gigs as a mobile dev.
Oh, okay. That's honestly a very beautiful question, because
Very,
I mean, if you are working and you're not getting jobs, then something is wrong somewhere. So the truth is, there's no manual, quote unquote, to this thing. So there are quite a number of people involved. Number one, um, the people that they would always say that your network is your net worth, right? The people that matters a lot. Number one. Number two, your own skill set and your skill level also matters. Can people trust you with their project? Because the truth is, someone's project might be their life. Imagine someone investing their last $100,000 on a project and then they entrust it to you. Can you be so sure that you would push that product to a success? That is number two. Understanding your own skill level. Number three, understanding when and where to apply. It also really, really matters. For example, today, you might notice that you've been applying on LinkedIn since January to December and then you did not get one job. They don't even call you. Most of them will hear you. You need to understand the platform that you are applying on. That is number 4. Number 5, one strategy that also works really well for quite a number of people is cold emails. You can take a look at startups in the country, outside the country, that that are not quote unquote really loud. They are just startups that are somehow low key. Pitch yourself to them. Tell them the skills that you have, how you can actually benefit them when you come into their company. And trust me, that also works. It has worked for quite a number. In fact, I have at least 1 or 2 people that I know that it has worked for. It works for them massively. Number 6, I think we're going to number 6 now. Ensure that you put yourself out. You see, hustle in the shadows, no be for tech. Nah, in tech we don't hustle in the shadows. In tech we hustle in the light. You will stay in the light like this and then hustle there so that people are able to see you. You need to build publicly. We are not saying quote unquote you should show off. No, there's a difference between show off and building publicly, right? You should ensure that you build publicly. When you do things that you know yourself that these things are amazing, or not even amazing, just let people understand that yes, this is what this person does. Not today you are a tech bro, next tomorrow you are already selling phones, the following week you are in one place playing guitar. You know, you don't there's nothing that can actually be attributed to you. But you see, when someone, for example, looks you up on LinkedIn or on Twitter, when they see your name, they should know that this person is a Flutter developer. So ensure that you build public, let people see what you are doing, ensure that you are visible. And lastly, please have God. Pray. It works. I'm a testimony. Please have God. God is, see what grace can actually do for you. What someone achieved in 10 years, grace can do it for you in 10 months. It has happened. I have seen it work every time. Please have God. If you know how to pray, pray well. And may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with us all. Amen. So I hope I answered that question, by the way. So I'm going to be moving to is it advisable to use Flutter Flow for development? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so David, after this answer, I'm going to take your question. Okay, I think that's fine. If that's okay, please drop a thumbs up. Okay, good. Thank you. So, is it advisable to use Flutter Flow for development? Of course, yes. Me personally, I don't use it. Why? I trust in my skills, right? I know what I want, and the truth is, I get a client or work with a company where you guys want to build complex apps. And when apps start becoming complex, there's little to what Flutterflow can actually handle. So yes, it's advisable, but when your app starts becoming large scale, you need to actually have the skill for yourself to actually be able to build an app successfully. So I hope I've been able to answer that. And yes, David, please go ahead with your question.
My own is not a question. No. My own is just that I don't know you're a pastor. Please, I want to start coming to your
Pastor, I'm just a son of God. That's all. So, don't worry, you come to my Father and Son's church. So, okay, Kolade Modupe, you have a question here, but please go ahead. I think you have raised your hand. Please go ahead with your question. Modupe, please go ahead. We're waiting for you.
Sorry, I was muted before.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, so I wanted to ask the question I asked in the chat. How do I know when I'm job ready? Because I'm currently watching this tutorial by Van Dad, the 6-hour course. So I'm currently in the the create, read, and updates and delete aspect of the course. But I want to know, I already know a bit of authentication and all of that. I want to know how I know when I'm ready, because I've been watching so many tutorials and all of that. I know a lot of things, but like putting them together, I know there's some things I don't know, and there's some things that I know. Like, how will I know when to start applying for jobs exactly?
Okay, good. So, number one, truth is you are never job ready. I'm just going to tell you that absolute truth. You are never job ready at any point. But however, you need to firstly ask yourself a sincere question. If I own the company and I just needed someone to just come in, either randomly or not, can I hire myself? That is the first sincere question to ask yourself. And I, as a person, hire myself. You see, the moment you get to a point where you are confident that yes, I can hire myself, you should start applying for jobs. So I'm going to give you a brief story of how I got my first job. I transitioned
Okay.
from customer service into tech, right? And when I got my
Okay.
first job, the reason why I applied for the job was because it was a junior Flutter developer role. Because I didn't believe in myself that I was capable enough to take up a full-time job as a Flutter developer. Because obviously I didn't have that experience that was needed. I was doing customer service, but I had learned Flutter to a point. I knew, a few things about network requests and all of that. But you see, the truth is there are gifts waiting inside of you to be unlocked. And until you actually accept challenges, they will not be unlocked. Right? So when I saw the job, I felt okay, Flutter, junior Flutter, there will be a senior, so I'll be able to learn from the senior. And then I applied. As God will have it, as His grace will work, I got the job. And then on getting to the company, I asked the CTO, now that I'm coming in as a junior Flutter developer, do we have a senior in-house that I'm going to learn from? He said no, that there's no senior, that I'm going to be the only one working on the project. And this was a fresh project from the start. This is a crypto-based company. And I knew that if I failed, the company fails. Wow. And from there, I decided to triple my work rate. I decided to tie my belt and put it on my belly instead of my waist. And then, this is where I am today. At least you will not get to the company today, and then the CEO tells you that this boy did bad. No, never. That is never going to happen. So sometimes you need to take up on opportunities, right, to actually push you. And if you are able to do something, there was one thing I did before I got my first job, right? I ensured that I volunteered for projects, even while I was in my first job. So when you volunteer for projects, right? Now these are promising projects, not just anyhow projects, because truth is, God is going to give you the spirit to discern when you are supposed to take up on a project or not. But when you volunteer for projects, you get to meet other senior developers, people that actually have the same drive as you, people that have the same zeal as you. You guys are able to move in the same place. You will see things that people have implemented, and you're like, what? So this thing is possible. And from asking questions, from the idea that they used to build those things, you are then able to use that same idea to build other things. So again, you are never job ready, but the first question you need to ask yourself is, can I hire myself? Thank you.
Thank you so much. And please, if I can ask again, sorry, can I ask again? If what was your project like, your capstone project, like the project you used to apply for jobs?
I didn't have a project, so
Wow.
an internship then, right? And then I was just had a few side projects. I was just the do apps, the news app, and all of those things. I was confident to apply because, of course, it's a junior Flutter developer role now, so that was my thought, right? Wow. And then what sort of set me apart was how I was able to answer questions in the interview, and then of course, so that's why I said again, volunteer for projects. So because I also had about 2 projects I volunteered for, then I was able to put the experience in my CV, either little or not. I have experience there, and that was what helped me. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Welcome. So, Jason, please go ahead.
All right. Good evening. So I wanted to ask that, as a beginner, what are the major concepts in Flutter development that you have to really major yourself into, like immerse yourself in understanding very well? And also, how do you source for resources as a beginner?
Okay, so I think I only got the part where you said, how do you source for resources? You said something before that.
I said, as a beginner, can you hear me? Yeah, as
Yes,
a
I can hear
beginner,
you.
what are the major concepts in Flutter development that you need to immerse yourself in, that you have to really understand that without this stuff, your journey ahead will be shaky. That the main foundations in Flutter development. What are those major concepts that you have to really master very well?
Okay, so number one, the first mistake you should never make in this life is starting to learn Flutter before learning that. You are going to run into a lot of problems. I mean, it's like trying to give birth to you don't approach a woman first. You are approaching a man, or doing something. So firstly, learn that thoroughly. I mean, when I first started learning Flutter, right, when I joined the training, we 2 months, like back to back, without even thought. I mean, it got to a point I was tired, like, is it only for I equal to I plus plus that I want to be writing? What is all of this rubbish now? I'm seeing people building beautiful, beautiful. So when do I want to start this thing? But thank God they actually took us through that process, because if they did not, I probably would have also run it. Ensure that you learn that properly, number one. Now, after learning that, ensure that you understand how UI components work. Truth is, you might be using a widget. One thing that you should also always hold on to is your curiosity as a developer. You are using a container. Have you ever tried to sit down and think, okay, this container, what exactly is it? How did it come to life? Your curiosity should never leave you. So when you use widgets, try to understand what these widgets, what they do. That's number two. Number three, you should understand state management. State management is very, very, very essential to actually building a successful app. Very, very essential. That's number three. Number four, please understand what's it called, network request. Really, really, really important. And understand, again, I'm going to go back to that. Understand some cheat codes in that, things like using extensions, type defs thoroughly before delving into that. Then understand responsiveness in your app, how you are able to calculate the size and based on your screen size, and all of the responsiveness is very, very, very important too. And I think with that, you should be able to go start exploring things like building complex widgets, exploring things like testing, exploring things like working with high level third party package. So yes, I think that's just it for me.
Yeah, yeah. So because of time,
Thank you so much.
because of time, we'll have to take it from here. Take it
Yes.
from here because of time. Yeah, thank you very much, Michael. Yeah. So right now, I have to introduce the second speaker, who is actually Grace Youpele, the founder of Ladies in Flutter. So Grace Youpele is a mobile engineer with over 3 years of expertise. The community is at Code Clan Nigeria with over 2,000 plus members, and also the founder of Ladies in Flutter, like I said, a community of like-minded women interested in mobile engineering Flutter. Shout out to the senior developers in the house. She's a technical writer, mentor, and a public speaker. She's also an ambassador of the Women Technical. So I'd like to hand over to Grace Youpele. So Grace Youpele, can you just like signify it? Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so my name's Alright.
Yeah, okay, so
Hi.
we just like it. Yeah, hi. Yeah, we just like to talk about your journey through Flutter so far and how you made to this point. How you basically achieved everything, like the foundation, the beginning of everything.
Um, okay, so first off, I'm not faulting you, though. It's expected for people to mispronounce my name. So it's actually Youpele. So Grace Youpele.
Sorry.
It's totally fine. It's expected. My name is Grace Youpele, and yeah, my profile has been read. Okay, so about me and my journey so far. So I started Flutter basically in 2021. Prior to then, I think I tried front end, trying HTML, and for like 3 days it was very easy, and I was like, that's all that they do for it. So literally I studied computer science, but I didn't really major in computer science when I graduated. I was doing a customer care rep, and I think the one thing that sparked me to tech was I had my coursemate that was, I just said, oh, I think I'm into, and he said, no, I should try front end. So he shared resources and front end, CSS. I did that for like, sorry, I think a week or so, and it was easier. So this is Zoipa, is it? And I think that like what's about it? I'm a very arts and barbarism and all. My own is give me an example. Being I like solving problem. Like I just like to think outside whatever it's given to me. So I would say it was hard, like because I came with that's and I came with that was simple and like let's UI um design now. Let me try it. I think I see the UIS community and about how to optimize yourself, show your thing. So I wasn't really sure it it wasn't just my turn. I wear black. I and still and I made this I made this them really and it kind of outside and and then my because I was staying with my auntie's house, so my niece's table and chair, my back then, oh my god. So and you know what it is like learning with running Flutter with a 2 round gig RAM. It's very slow and frustrating and all that. I had environmental issues, setting up my environmental issues that took me over like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But then I had a mentor, so when I joined, when I started doing Flutter, somebody tagged me to a guy, a Ghanaian, on Twitter then. So I reached out to him and said I needed a mentor, and he shared the resources with me, which is Angela Yu's course. I think that was what I started with. So I was one of those people that they say, start with that, start with that. I did not start with that, apparently. I started with Flutter. And then there is the part that will show you Shaggy. Then you realize why they always say, start with that, start with that. So I started with Flutter because that was the sources I was shared to, and I started interacting with people on Twitter, his followers and all that. And I started participating in all this UI thing. Though it was, at least I could run easy UI. It was easier, I won't lie. It was very easy. I felt like this is really good. This is what am I doing? This is good. So it was easier. And when I think my first breakthrough was joining Code Plan community, and there was this opportunity. It was like, so I quit my job. That's 2021 because I decided that it was a do or die affair. Either I learned this technique because it wasn't easy being a 9 to 5 in Lagos, going to the office, coming back tired, and all of this. So I quit my job there. And I said, I was doing my master's as well. So I quit my job and I was like, it's a do or die affair. This tech thing, I must learn it. So that year I was just home, trying to juggle through school and learning all of those things. Just doing minor jobs to keep me. It was online, just online jobs to just keep my data subscription afloat. So it wasn't an easy year for me though. It was really tough. I can't go to personal without a backup and getting it. I think that's one thing that helped me because joining that community, I met some couple of cool guys, some good relationships and the rest. There was this opportunity. There is this offer that there is this gig I'm doing, and and I need like 3 because I felt I wasn't ready. Me, what do I want to do? Me that I need UI I could do. So UI and calculate does now to do to and just so I wasn't really confident enough. Like so, but I somehow just sent that DM. When the person reached out, he said, "Sorry, I can't pay you, Grace, because the pay is in naira." Oh no, I'm Nigerian. Actually, take payments acting with one Ghanaian guy like that and his cohort on Twitter. And so that was because that's the first person I followed. That was when I Twitter. I started on that tree with that owned the project. That's for Temitope. He's a big person, so I guess you guys might know him. So I started on that project, and the other two persons were so that's 3 guys, and I was the only girl. So when we did our UI, to be honest, it paid. Like, that was like my first to test money. Like I won't lie, I feel like I was one of the lucky person that got payments in tech at clean money. He paid 100K each, and it's like, wow, so I've landed like this. So I feel like that was like my ask stupid questions. I remember then I would ask questions, and I can keep anybody. If I'm asking questions or trying to resolve a problem, a bug with anybody, I can keep. I remember one time I was on a call with my mentor, Michael Asamoah. I kept him online from like, I think we started that meet by past 10. We were on call till 5 a.m. That was before okay, I think if you are doing just one-to-one call, Google Meet doesn't kick you out after an hour. So we're on that call till like 5 a.m. I was even the one that was feeling guilty, telling him that, Michael, you know what, go and sleep. So I was this person that was persistent. I don't want to hear no. If you tell me, Grace, in a meeting, I'll say, okay, I'll ask what time I message you. That time will not even reach. I'll just go and be sitting down your DM, say, I'm here again, no, please put me in your mind. So I feel like I've had people that come to me and say they want me to mentor them. You give them resources, say, okay, do this, do that. And they're lost, they're gone. I wasn't like that. So I feel like that is how I got to where I am. I didn't just want to, and along the line, I ran away. I was really persistent. Like, I was consistent. It was a door that I felt. If you give me an opportunity, I will ask questions. I will ask, so why are we using size box instead of container? Why are we using HTTP? Why won't we use Duo? And what is the difference? Okay, why did we use color? So I was asking stupid questions. The funny part is that thank God I was comfortable with the guys, so I would ask stupid questions, and they were okay with it. Sometimes they will laugh. Sometimes if I could and probably we push for review, we'll be like, who cooked these beans? And all of those things. So sometimes when I go back and look at those code base, I will laugh and all that. But then it was a learning process. So it gave us the grace, to give me the grace to learn to like make mistakes, fail, and all of those things. So, and from there, I think that year I applied for a job later that year and got this job. It was an intern or junior there. I can't remember though, but it was a good job. At least the pay was good. And from there, I always put up stuff on LinkedIn. Like I always put up stuff on LinkedIn, like my posts. Twitter, I was more of like playing around, quizzing and all that. But my LinkedIn was literally more of what I do. So when I joined the community as the community lead, I started putting out all my engagements in the community and all of those things. So even if I wasn't an expert as of then, I'm not saying I'm an expert now, to be honest. The truth is just that learning is a continual progress. You don't say, oh, I've learned enough, oh, I know enough. There are things that I have had to do recently that I had to ask some senior devs that I know how to resolve that. I know how I did that search. Like I was crazy. I found that solution. I even had to go back to all of them. I was like, you see that question? asked is the solution. See that question I asked you. So learning is a continual process. There is nobody that knows it all. So all your faves that you have on Twitter, don't be surprised. And they don't answer because you can't just know it all. So when I get offers, I don't shy away for it. I feel like another thing that's gotten me level is that I have a very good communication skill. So I wouldn't say my expertise took me to where I am. Say it was my communication skills. I've had offers that I didn't even have to do any technical interviews for them, and then they were impressed, and I got the job. Now there is one thing to use your mouth and get the job. Another thing to be good at that job. When there's any bad thing to say, just like my speaker has spoken. So you might not necessarily know that thing at that point, but I don't think when you face challenges, that's how you think that you don't know. And when you get to solve that problem, that is a +1 to your knowledge. You've solved it. So if you keep shying away from opportunities, you might as well never get to a level that you want to. Because I don't think just learning gives you wish to attain. You have to just when it comes to building application that users get life challenges for you to grow your expertise. So you have to don't shy away from opportunities. I mean, I'm an advocate of one that you come out. They will not give you peace. I mean, the level that I don't want to project, I will scrutinize and know which one, if it's favoring me and if it's something I would want to work or not. So my review types email them, and the kind of review they give me monthly is they said I brought light to the company. So my attitude towards work is I have a team lead, but then I think since I joined, I have implemented features. I can't even count. I have implemented features compared to my team lead. There was this thinking of, let's make Grace the team lead. Because my boss would be like, my is excellent. He might say, let's implement a feature, and I don't know. I can be honest as well as communicate my honesty. So I can say, I'm not really done this. I'm touch on it, and I'll get back to it and run it. So that I will ask questions. I'm asking online, doing searching. This one, I really do work. That is how I approach my work. I just don't like, it is not the next person. I even like to think of just and be like, who wants to? Because I've not done it before, and I know that doing it is an additional to my knowledge. I will rush and say, I have to research more, and I love to do that. So let me do that task. And so literally, I have always scaled through work like that, and mostly I've gotten my offers from referrals because I've worked with people, and they like my work towards attitude, and they always refer me for projects, and also on LinkedIn. I get reached out on LinkedIn too a lot. So I don't think I've actively applied for jobs. Okay, except one time I was applying I had this German client, and it felt like my work rate was good. So he advised I apply to German companies. So I think that was last year. I was applying to German companies. Like I will go and what's the word again? I will go and if the job description will be in German, I will go and translate it to English. Translate it to English. I would apply in English. I would get rejection mail in German. Imagine translating your rejection mail from German to English. Till date, I still get those rejection mails. I don't know how I was fooling myself. So that was just one time I know I actively applied, but ever since then, I've not really had to apply for jobs. Just literally just come to me and all of those things. So I feel for me it has been I was active on my LinkedIn, like really active. At least my earlier stage. So I feel like that's what kind of helped me. In my earlier stage, I was really active on LinkedIn and as well as putting in community work. So people want to know that sometimes aside being a developer, what else do you have? What value do you bring? It's just like somebody asking me one question one time was like, aside from being a mobile developer, who are you? So sometimes when you ask yourself these questions, it puts you in a position to be a better person, not just a developer now. So people get to relate with you on that term. So who am I? I do more of community work, I do more of organization work, I do all of these things. So you can as well say, even if Grace is not a developer, Grace is more like she's organized. And another thing I am so good is that I own products a lot. If you say, if I am building any product, I will be a user personally. I'll be a developer. I'll be if you allow me, save. I'll be the CEO and everything. So I'll be the project manager. I'll be everything. So I own any project I'm on. So that's just attributing to my work towards work, my attitude towards work. I my right now my company always call me for product review. If you are trying to build a new feature, before our designer and all those ones can proceed, like they always involve me for product review because me, I was always have one thing to say, like me as a user, I will not come to this app and do it like this. And I will say it plainly. Yes, it's my company. We are so free. So I'll say as a user, I'll not come to your app and you expect me to do this thing. I won't do it. I will leave that app and go away. So I tend to own a product. If I'm on any project, I own that product. I act on that project as I am a user. I am a product manager. How I would want it to be managed, how I can self-manage a project or product, whatever it is. I can self-manage it. So I feel like your attitude towards work matters. That even if you leave a company and there's an opportunity, your former colleagues, your boss can tend to as well refer you and all of those things, and at least you've kept a good note. So another thing is that the truth is that it's not everybody that have good head in this our whole tech space, both the founders who, both the developers and everything. Sometimes somebody people's head used to touch. I'm not saying anybody is perfect. I myself, I've had to leave projects that wasn't favoring me. What, particularly that person might even have a bad thing to say about me. But I'm saying that the day that person come for me, I have evidence. I will come back for him too. Because sometimes some people are just, I don't know. You ask yourself, where are they from? So if you feel like a project is not serving you for your peace of mind, please walk away. For your peace of mind. Some people will use you, use your life. If you allow them, they'll use your relationship as well. And still not appreciate your work and still like some people are just they're just out of being human in general. So stuff like that, please don't hesitate to walk away. So it's not because I've said give your all. No. Sometimes you should know when to use your discretion to this thing is not what it is. It's not how it's meant to be. You can just nicely tell them that this doesn't pay me anymore. It doesn't serve its purpose anymore. Please, I want to leave and just leave. So stuff like that too, it's very acceptable, and you don't have to do or die affair on anybody's projects. Some people don't really care about you. It's their project, it's their job at the end of the day. It's their job, it's the job they care about, not you in person. So if you know that your mental health is at stake, be sure to leave because you can't even function well if you are not properly in a mentally right state. So your mental health as well matters in this whole tech thing. So be sure to walk away when it doesn't serve you well. Yeah, what else? So I think literally that has been my journey so far till now.
Yeah.
Tech.
So because of like time, this very like nice and so percent by next episode. We have to take over. Thank you very much for your talk. It was actually very, very insightful. You said a lot of things to be honest, right? Especially the last part. To be honest, it was very, very important, that mental health part. Because a lot of people they try to please others when they should actually think about okay, this person, no matter how much I try, this person can never.
appreciating. So thank you very much. Yeah. So also, like me personally, I have a question. So I think during, if you remember Flutter right, when you were Flutter right, when you came, there was this, you said something about job referrals. I think you were the one that said that 50% of jobs nowadays are from referrals. I mean, when not, I mean, you can remember.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was.
Can you, can you translate that? How do we get more referrals for jobs? And also, what you did now is actually very smart. I actually understood what you did. You said that now jobs don't come, jobs just come to you. You don't apply for jobs, right? So basically, as if like you built a garden to attract butterflies. How did you do that garden?
Okay, so first I'll start with the referral one. So I recently had, um, personally, I do have offers, and so I don't take up all offers because, to be honest, there are some projects you don't want to be on, and there are some stage you get to, you just don't feel like you should be on that project as well. So there are offers that I get, and I don't wish to be a part of it. I do refer. So how do I refer now? Is part of how I was referred. I have a community of ladies. So generally, I can put it up on my community and say, oh, there is this offer. But another thing that I'm going to talk about is, my co-speaker said something about you can't build in the dark. As a developer, there is no way you can do that. Recently, I got one offer, and it was good per se, and I needed to refer somebody, and I thought about somebody that I have worked with on a project. I can't remember that project, but it is a junior dev, and we worked together on a project. So, and when we worked together on that project, even though at some points the project was tiring, I left and made him continue the whole thing because I said I couldn't. But the guy was really consistent and he was able to deliver their project to them. I didn't continue with them because of some personal reasons. So he was able to deliver that project. So I liked his attitude towards that work. So when that offer came, I thought about him first and I reached out to him. Are you available for this job? He said yes. And that was it. I linked him up. Another one was there was this other offer. So there was this person on Twitter. I've never really interacted with this person per se. We've never really gone to each other's DM and the rest. But then when this offer came, I know I tweeted it and yeah, I posted it. But I solicited for one person particularly because I was impressed with how that person was always putting out content on Twitter. I don't know the person. I've never really met the person. We've never really spoken. So out of the blues, the person's name or whatever was just a tag on my memory that I can just randomly remember that person when an opportunity comes in. So when my co-speaker say you shouldn't build in the dark, it makes absolute sense in that case that when you put yourself out there, sometimes it can be frustrating. You feel like nobody's seeing you. Maybe you're getting one likes, two likes. Trust me, somebody's seeing you. People are seeing you. So I just randomly remember that name. I was like, oh, this person is always, consistent in putting up content. And I referred that person, and apparently the person got the job. So stuff like that can also get you referrals. You don't have to even know people per se firsthand to get referrals. Putting yourself out there and you've just registered yourself in their mind, and when there's an offer, they think of you first because you somehow with doing what you are doing, registered yourself in their mind. So put yourself out there, and like you said, your network is your net worth. Make valuable relationships too, because most of my referrals are from people that I've worked with and or people that I know. I've not necessarily have to work with them. I just know them and they know what I do, and they just be like, and I know that they're in that position to get offers higher position than I am. So when there's an opening or they know we're on contract, they just hit me up, Grace, also, are you free? Are you up for this project? So knowing people too that would add value to your 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 life, would I say your life? So your career growth is very important. So that is why I talked about intentional networking. not just general networking. When you network generally, be sure to also be intentional with trying to network with people on the above your level. That way you get offers from their level. And that is you also going to that level. And that is how you keep progressing. So you have to network and put yourself out there and be good at jobs that if you have an opportunity, at least be good to do your job well, because from there as well, from that job, you can get referred. My former boss has also referred me for a job. My CTO recently even called me and said, hey, there was this. My only problem with that was that the person wanted an Indian native speaking client. So that was like the only reason why I didn't get that, because naturally I would have gotten it because he was my former CTO and I worked with him closely, and though they had to let him go, Joe, but while we were working together, it was top notch and all that. He knew I had the skills, so that is it. You just have to put in your best when you get the opportunity to work on any project. Put in your best, show them your credibility, and put yourself out there and make good connections. Yeah, so I think you asked the second question.
No, that was. I think that was everything. You already covered the first and the second. So thank you very,
Okay.
very. That was, thank you. Yeah, as you can see, time is actually, on our side. So move on to the next thing. So if you actually have questions, you can put them in call message. Yeah. So yeah, this session now is going to be for the two speakers as Michael Ayodeji and the Youpele. I hope I pronounced it well. Yeah. Yeah. So the questions are going to talk about. Can you okay, who go first? Yeah, so Michael, are you still there? Michael, you go first. Can you
Yes, I'm.
share yeah, right. Can you share a moment in your career when you felt particularly inspired or accomplished? And how did it shape your professional journey?
So I think the moment when I felt, particularly inspired was, I mean, there's been quite a number of, events. I hope everybody can hear me clearly.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, good. So there's been quite a number of events, but, my first Flutter job, which was supposed to be a junior Flutter developer job, and then I got to know that I was going to be the only one working on a project with little to no experience. And the very first sense of accomplishment that I felt was when I actually finished up that project, and then it was launched live, and people actually started using it. And I'm like, wow, man, you're not that bad, you know. And that was when I actually knew that yes, I was truly ready. And then also, I think one thing that I would also say that, really felt like I accomplished was when I was working for an IT for IT consultant companies. Quite a number of projects are thrown at you at once, and there was this particular microfinance bank app that I was building, and this app was an app that I actually completed in 5 weeks. And when I wanted to, leave the company, he felt to the CEO like it was something was leaving him. That was how the way he felt actually. And even after I had left, when I the local finance bank, the CEO still later called me and he was like, guy, after you left, the CEO of the microfinance bank still came to the office and actually even dropped, some sort of incentives for them because they actually thought that the app was really built well. And even I that built the app, I was not in the I was no longer in the company, but the good works that was just done before I left actually was still speaking. And because of that, the microfinance app plans to actually, because of that app that was built, they decided to entrust the web version of the app to the company. So I think that's also a number of events to to building, having zero apps on Play Store and App Store to having about 7, and it's to 4.0, and all of these things. There's been quite a number of them, but so far I'm grateful for these little ones that look like little ones.
Yeah, Michael, say you will not come at turn, right? Because to be honest, I'm serious. Yeah, so great. Grace, are you there?
Um, yeah, okay. So for me, I feel when I did my first project with Temitope, it was a game app, and when that's I, like that's app that project really stretched me because that was my first time working with Logic and the rest. It was prior to then it was just UI and UI, so that was when I started the whole that thing Logic and getting to understand this whole thing. So when that project was finally launched, and you know, prior to they had to take it out from Nigeria per se because as of the last time, it had over like 20,000 users, and they grew so much that they didn't even want Nigerian users anymore. Their revenue wasn't even coming from Nigerians, so they had to, till date. That was like I still kind of like um, um, prior to that project, and thinking that that was my first, like, and then I failed a lot. I made so many mistakes on that project, and I made so many mistakes on that project. I asked stupid questions, and it happened to turn out great. And so I feel like that was like my first with me. And another one was sitting out this one client and working on his project. From the project, he felt like I was really doing good. Unfortunately, we didn't get to launch it. So we got to complete it. He had some financial issues and had to put a stop to it as of then. But prior to when the project stopped, like every day he would just want to. There was an offer to that gig, but then at the end of the day, he ended up, even when it stopped it, he was like, Grace, I'm so impressed. So it was even the one that asked me to apply for German because he felt like my skills was good and it would be useful to them. He said he was so impressed that even though he's putting a stop to this due to financial constraints, he was willing to pay me the complete money and he even added extra on it. So that was like my first ad currency. So it was sweet money too. And so doing that thing and hearing those feedback from him was like another turning point for me, knowing that, oh, okay, so I could even work for um, other countries and I still get feedbacks like this. So it kind of made me feel like, okay, I think we are there now. Probably I should wear my sleeves well and be proud of what I do and keep doing it and shine while I'm at it. So I think those two were kind of like my turning points for me. And ever since then, it's been a roller coaster from one to another good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Grace, sorry, Grace, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for that. So the next question is: the tech industry is known for its rapid changes. How do you stay updated on new technology, and how have you adapted to industry shifts throughout your career? Very, very important question. I really want to hear.
Okay, do you need me to go first?
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Okay, good. So, again, I would always tell everybody, tech is like an ocean. What you know it. Number one, don't try to want to know everything, right? Know what to learn and then know when to learn it. Because a framework and then you feel it's popular, you should not always jump on it, right? So number one, staying up to learning never ends. I mean, the day you stop learning is the day you die. That's the day life ends. So you should career path. Again, tech is wide. So if you are a mobile engineer now, I think it's going to do you, it will be of good use to you to actually stay on that your mobile engineering career path instead of being a mobile engineer today. And then when we see in the next 6 months, you have started learning Node.js. And then in the next 6 months, in DevOps, it's going to limit the number of opportunities and chances that you see. That is just the truth. So try to stay in a particular career field, right? Then ensure that when you are then learning, you are learning around that your field. So as a Flutter developer, for example, you know that, okay, to be a good and better Flutter developer, right, having native skills, right, is going to be of good use to you. Instead of going ahead to now, right? So this might work for you, and learning backend might work for someone else. But I think that's one way that it's going to be very, very easy for you, staying up with current trend. That's number one, learning. Number two, seek information. In lies what? Info lane of info. If you will fly, you need to have information. So please, always, always, always seek information. Ask questions from people. And then when you see people that have succeeded in that your same field, from them and then ask them how they did it. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So, Grace, please, you have just 2 minutes to answer the question because of time. Apologies.
Okay, so like my co-speaker said, because something is at vogue doesn't mean you should go into it. You have to check if that's where your strength lies. So right now we have so many people in the Flutter community, and I feel like everybody is coming to Flutter because it's popular, and then people get lost. That's because you have to assess yourself first to be sure this is what you want to do. Do you have skills in is this what you really want to do? Some people are good at technical writing, but they want to just because everybody's talking about Flutter. So you have to be sure to know where your strength lies, go into it, and try to be trying to be in sync with where you are, and don't just jump around. Nobody's saying don't jump around. It's good to know other things, but be known for one thing at least. Be known for, oh, you are this. Personally, I've done project management, I've done UIS and all of this, just aside, but I am known for being a Flutter dev. So you should be known for something before you try exploring other things just by the side. Then if you intend to go over to those other things at the end of the day, fine. And wherever you are, trying to be updated with that technology. Flutter, for example, always have new features. These features kind of make our work more productive, faster than it used to be before, because this is what it's about. So try to be up to date with the technology you are using, so you won't just be behind while everybody's progressing. So try to check for new updates, browse through what did they add, what did they not add, what did they remove, so that it helps your work more productive and more creative. So yeah.
All right, thank you very, very much for that. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for that. Also, I'd like to also, like, so that others can connect with you on your like social platforms. Can you please drop your Twitter account or LinkedIn account in the messages, like the income messages?
Sure.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, thank you. Also, there's also this event that's coming up on 3D design, and so I'd like to invite the lead for 3D design for GDSC OUI and Nimi, if you're here. Nimi, please, are you
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Farouk. This was a very wonderful session that you hosted. I'm Nimi Adebayo. I'm the 3D and motion design lead for GDSC. And we have an event coming up. First, I want to even ask, does anyone here know about 3D or motion design? You can just signify by show of hands. Let me see if there are people here that know what 3D or motion design is. Okay, we have one person. Wow. If I say cyber security, now everybody raise up their hand. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so when it comes to 3D and motion design, I know that many people are not, even though like we see it every day, there are people here who play Call of Duty, who play video games, who watch cartoons, and we see advertisements on TV or even online, and we're not aware that motion design and 3D is usually behind all of this. Like, the cartoons that we watch, those characters that you see, the animations, they are based on 3D and some of them are 2D, however. And then motion design, you see them in, advertisements and all of that. So this Thursday, we'll be having two amazing guest speakers that are experts in the field of 3D and motion design. And I'll just be dropping the link in the message chat box. And, I'm looking forward to having everyone over and just come and hear and learn a bit about it's for everybody. It's for developers. It's for who knows, maybe you might even want to venture into game development soon. And yeah, that's look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday. Thank you, Farouk.
Yeah, welcome. Also, thank you very much for that. Yeah, so I'd also like to, on behalf of GDSC OUI, I'd like to thank everyone who attended this virtual event. It was very, very insightful. Thank you especially to the speakers, which is Ayodeji Michael, very, very intelligent individual who also has some charisma. Also, thank you, Grace Youpele, for everything. Yeah. So this is the end of this event. Thank you very much for attending. If there's any other event on mobile dev, we'll notify you on the various social media platforms. You can also follow check out the GDSC OUI LinkedIn and Instagram and the Twitter account. Okay, yeah, you can check it out there. It's in the income message. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.